You can have water that has a pH of 5.0, water that has a pH of 9.0, and you can do it with one single piece of equipment. You can run sumps. If you got all your tanks in a row, you can do a drip system that will create overflow that'll run into a sump and pump back into the tank. If you will do a deep substrate system in your fish room, you're going to do absolute minimum maintenance. Come right on in. You're at Father Fish. Today we're going to talk about creating your very own fish room, something that has been a dream from the beginning. So what are the considerations? Now, I'm not going to go into the details of how to build a filtration system or how to build racks or how to make tanks or where to buy tanks. I'm not going to give you any of those kinds of details because there's plenty of that information available. I've got a lot of it already on my web. So what are we going to do today? We're going to plan. We're going to talk about planning because planning is the absolute key and the most central and important part of being able to build a fish room that is going to be effective, that you're going to be happy with, that's going to work for you. How do you start this? Well, first step is really space and intentionality. What is it you want to do? Do you want to be able to breed and raise 1,000 fish a month that you can sell and support yourself? Maybe 5,000. Do you want to be able to maintain certain species of fish and study them through their life cycle? Do you want to see how big you can grow out monster fish? Do you want to have a collection of native fish? You need to decide that. Now, you don't need to lock it in absolutely. What you do need to do is have some clear sense of direction. You can always change as you move along. You want to create a system that you're going to be able to bring new fish in that you hadn't thought about yet. Now, that's going to be a function of size and water condition. Let's talk about size first. You look at your available space and you begin imagining what you could put in that space based on what you would like to do. It's critical for you to plan well ahead so that you know where things are going to go. You have the best possible use of the square footage you've got. You want to think about aisles, being able to walk. Make sure they're wide enough to carry a tank between them. You want to be able to carry a bucket in each hand. Lord knows, don't plan on carrying buckets. You don't need to do that. You can use hoses and you can use pipes. There are any number of ways for you to move water around that precludes using buckets. But you're going to be bringing bags of fish in and taking bags of fish out. You're going to be taking them in and out in buckets. Make sure you've got space to be able to manage. Don't give yourself 12 inches. It won't work. You'll be unhappy with it. Make sure you've got, well, I did 4 foot because I had a public aquarium, so I needed to have that level of space to get wheelchairs through. 3 foot would really be a minimum, though. You don't want to go much below that, or you're just going to be cramming yourself in. Obviously, if you want an arapima, you're going to need a swimming pool, a fairly large swimming pool, not a little tiny one. These guys get 8 feet long, so consider what you're getting into, and don't think about getting a fish and then getting rid of it when it reaches a certain size. That's unfair to the fish because it probably will wind up dead. It probably will not find an appropriate home. If you're going to get a fish, get it to keep until it completes its life cycle. That's probably rule number 1. If all you really want to be able to do is grow fish out, you want to get fry in and grow them out so you can sell them, then that's one thing. And that's fine. I think those fish keepers who are the most joyous and the most successful and have the greatest sense of commitment to their fish room and to their hobby are those who have been able to maintain fish generation after generation and have 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 generations of a given species of fish. The next consideration is time frame. What kind of time frame are you thinking about here? Do you want something permanent that will be there for as long as you're able to maintain a fish room? Or do you want something temporary, something that'll last maybe a few years before you move or before your house gets rebuilt, whatever? That's a consideration you need to be clear about up front. Okay, so we were talking about two things. The first was size. The second was water. I'm going to tell you a secret here. You can have any water you want. You can have water that has a pH of 5.0, water that has a pH of 9.0. You can have water that has no hardness in it at all. You can have water with hardness of GH of 500. And you can do it with one single piece of equipment. The piece of equipment is an RO filter, a reverse osmosis filter. A reverse osmosis filter will allow you to have water that has no general hardness in it at all and no carbonates. That means that water, which comes out of the RO system at 7.0, will drop precipitously to 5.0 if you don't do anything to add carbonates to it. That gives you the softest, most acid water you could possibly need. Now, what about the other extreme? Well, the RO system does that too. You see, there are two lines coming out of the RO system. One is the feed line that delivers reverse osmosis water. That's the soft, neutral to acid water. The other is the wastewater line. Now, the wastewater line, when I had my shop, was every bit as important as the RO line because it gave me hard alkaline water. And I needed hard alkaline water to keep many of my fish. So I saved the wastewater and I saved the RO water. It gave me a full spectrum from 5.0 all the way up to 8.5, even 9.0. One piece of equipment gives you all of that. It may be the single most important piece of equipment you have. Now, you're going to need containers to hold that water. The size of the containers is going to depend on the size, the total volume of tanks that you have and the amount of water you expect to be turning over on a routine basis. So you want an RO system that's going to produce an adequate amount. 20 gallons a day may not be enough. My system produced 400 gallons. That was a great deal, much more than I needed. And I had 4,000 gallons in my shop. You're likely to have between 500 and 1,000 gallons if you have a large operation. You're probably going to need to exchange maybe 25% of that in a week. That's between 125 and 250 gallons. So something that will produce that's 40 gallons a day. How do you get it from your container to the tank? Well, you can siphon it into buckets and carry it, or you can put a little pump in there and pump it in. You can do it with a garden hose you carry around, or you can run PVC to be able to do all of that. It depends on how big your operation is and how much work you want to try to get done automatically. If you're going to have 100 tanks, you really don't want to be doing water changes manually in 100 tanks. You want to do as much as you can of that automatically. Now, you're going to have tanks with different water quality. Try to keep them together. Try to keep those that are hard alkaline water in one place on one level or two levels so you can manage that. Try to keep soft acid water in one place salt water in one place. If you will do that, group them together, then you're going to have a much easier time of it doing maintenance on your systems. What about filtration? Well, what I've been teaching here at Father Fish for years is a deep substrate system. If you will do a deep substrate system in your fish room, you're going to do absolute minimum maintenance. You can maintain water quality at a very high level with deep substrates. Now, if your tanks are going to be set up for years, a reason not to do a deep substrate and every reason to do it, because it will give you the kind of quality long term that's going to allow you to keep difficult fish. This tank has been set up for 12 years. The benefit of doing the deep substrate is you don't need to have 100 hang on the back filters. I do not recommend you plan to do that. The maintenance will destroy you. It's really not worth the time, the money, the effort, the aggravation of trying to keep 100 of those little suckers going. Don't do it. There are any number of other ways to do what you need to do. You can run sumps. If you got all your tanks in a row, you can do a drip system that will create overflow that'll run into a sump and pump back into the tank. You can have, in effect, an open system, running a whole bank of tanks that way. I've got a video explaining exactly how to do that. I had 200 tanks on the system just like that. Simple to do, inexpensive to set up, and enormously effective. Do not do under gravel filters. Under gravel filters simply build up waste. You don't want to build up waste. You want to recycle waste. The deep substrate recycles waste. It allows you to grow plants that are pulling that waste up, converting it to plant material, and it's cycling that way. With an under gravel filter, you can't do that. It doesn't work. At least not short term. Long term, if you want to set it up, then pull the pipes out after a year, add an inch or two of sand to the top, and you'll be good to go for the next 20 years. Sponge filters. Lots of fish rooms use sponge filters. They're easy, they're convenient, they're inexpensive, they'll last for 10 years. They're really perfect. Or nothing. In tanks like this, you can do nothing. One more thing while I'm thinking about it. When you put your fish room together, unless you're going to maintain a series of very small containers that you can manage manually, don't put it on a wooden floor. That floor is going to get wet and it is going to stay wet. The racks are going to get wet and they are going to stay wet. Even if they don't, plan on them being. So if you're going to use wood, use treated wood. If you can buy the manufactured lumber, which is plastic waste, the cost of that is not substantially more than lumber. It does not deteriorate, and it has all the tensile strength of regular lumber. It's used to build docks and piers. It's very sturdy stuff. I would recommend that as a really good material. Light. I got these for a long time. These are 4-foot tubes. They run about $8. 2 or 3 of those. I've got 2 or 3 on that. I've got 4, I think, on that 55 right there. They do a great job and they last a long time. There are better strip lights of that type, LEDs. Can you see? You probably can't. That's a 4-foot with a double row or triple row of LED. Much more powerful. Really amazing light. That's about $25. You can do really good lighting really inexpensively. If you're going to do a lot of breeding, you won't even need light. So that's a consideration too. Again, think ahead, plan ahead, decide what you want to be able to do, so you'll know what kind, if any, lighting you're gonna want to have. I guess the main thing is what I started with, planning. You need to plan. You need to spend time. Spend a month, spend 2 months, spend as long as it takes for you to put together a perfect blueprint of exactly what you want and think through every aspect of it. Spend a day or two or a week on a given single aspect until you've got that really nailed down and understand exactly what it is you want to do. The more planning you put in up front, the happier you're going to be when you begin developing it, building it, and then working with it. When I opened my last shop, I spent several months putting together the blueprint for it. I had 4,000 square feet to work with. I spent months doing that. And then I brought a crew in and we put it all together in about 2 months. I spent the next 10 years working with it and living with it. It was a joy. It worked brilliantly. It did everything I wanted to be able to do. Everything I had planned for, I had done. It was in place and it was operational. Now, I left space for things like large tanks, special displays, things that I didn't have on hand but would like to be able to get and didn't really know what it was going to involve. So I had some spaces in there to be able to do special things with, and that worked out really well. I was able to acquire at one point a 500-gallon tank. It was 10 feet long. I had a perfect place for it. Worked out brilliantly. Plan ahead effectively. Don't spend one night putting it together and then go out and start buying stuff. Spend 1 month putting it together and think about it. Talk to me about it. I'm delighted to talk with you. Come on over to Discord and let's chat about it. I'll set up a channel there for building out your fish room, and we can spend all the time you want doing that kind of planning. If you do all this, if you decide to become a Noah, which increasingly I believe we are going to need to be, and you do it right, you will be able to put together a system that will last as long as you live in your home or as long as you have that space that your fish room is built in. Make sure that it is available and accessible to friends, to neighbors, to visitors. Make sure it's a place you can welcome people into. Don't let it be simply your private little cave. Open the door. Allow people to come in and share what you're doing. That will give you great, great joy to be able to share. That's so much a part of what we do here, isn't it? Bless you all. Delighted to be with you.